All right, we're moving on to chapter 8 here with this new lesson. Before we get going, it's a little bit humid in here. The air conditioner is not working very correctly. I hope that doesn't bother you all, distract you from learning. But your job now is to take some good notes. So do this. If you want to print this out, that's great. If you just want to write it on a sheet of paper, that's fine too. But you take notes here as if we were in class. All right, so this is about relations and functions. What is a relation? A relation is a set of ordered pairs. You should remember or know what an ordered pair is. That's where you have an x value and a y value in parentheses. That's a pair of x and y terms, an ordered pair. When we talk about a set of them, we're talking about more than one. The first coordinates, well, this is just an example of an ordered pair with numbers, -3, 5. X is -3, y is 5. When we're talking about a set, we'd have multiple ones. The first coordinates, the x values, or the inputs, we call the domain. That's an important word, domain. The second set of coordinates, often called the y values or the outputs, are called the range. That's another very important term, domain and range. Now that you know them, you'll start hearing them a lot as you go further in your math stuff. So what does a relation look like? Well, it looks like this. We put a relation, a set of them, in braces. Braces contain sets of things. So this is a set of ordered pairs. That's called a relation. This is a simple example of one. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, 5 ordered pairs make up a relation, this relation. The domain is the x values. So what are the x values? I've highlighted them there in yellow. Those are 0, 1, 2, and 3. Because there's 2 zeros over here, but you only list it once. The domain contains 0, 1, 2, and 3. You wouldn't say 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. That'd be like me listing off my children and say my children's names are Kylie, Corinne, Eve, and Kylie. Right? That doesn't make sense. Okay. The range are the y values. So that's -2, 1, 2, 1, and 4. Again, I wouldn't list the 1 twice. So -2, 1, 2, and 4. It's best when they're in order. It's not a huge deal at this point in time, but that's typically how they are. There are generally 4 ways that relations can be represented: as a set of ordered pairs, like the one we just talked about a second ago, or as a table or a T-chart. We're going to talk about how these are the same set of data, just organized 4 different ways. A mapping diagram, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before. This would be the domain, the x values, with this pointing to the y values. And then a graph, which you're probably familiar with. These are just the points plotted on your xy coordinate. So my yellow markings here, this is where 0, 2 is represented in every single one of those. 0, 1, I've marked in green, 1, 2 in blue, 2, 1 there in red, and then 3, 4 there in the purple. So all 4 of these represent the same set of data, the same relation, the same set of ordered pairs. Okay? That's what a relation basically is. Now, what is a function? A function is a relation, okay, so it's going to have a domain and a range, where each member of the domain, each x value, is paired with exactly one member of the range, the y value. When it is graphed, like this guy right here, to be a function, it must pass what's called the vertical line test. The vertical line test says for any vertical line, it can only pass through one point. In other words, if you can make a vertical line that goes through more than one point, then it's not a function. Okay? Then the relation fails the vertical line test. Like this guy right here, this relation up here, is this relation a function? Well, for each x, is there only one y? Well, look at this. There's 2 when x is 0, y is -2, and when x is 0, y is 1. When x is, and this is represented by those, here it's represented because x shows up in the column twice. Here it's because this x value has 2 mapping lines coming out of it. And here's my vertical line test. It's passing through exactly 2 points. Therefore, it fails the vertical line test, which means it is not a function. So here, because 0 shows up as an x twice, 0 shows up as an x twice, because 0 has two lines coming out of it, and the vertical line test fails. That is how you can identify that it's not a function from either of those versions. Okay? So here's an example of the type of questions you'll have. Number 1, what's the domain? Well, the domain, that's the x values. You just list them. Put braces around your list. It's a set of x's. So it's -1, 0, 1, 2, and 8. Pretty simple. The y's, as the range. So you just list -3, -2, 2, and 3. Now, is this a function? Well, for every x, there's only one y. For every single one of these x's, there's only one line coming out of it. It doesn't matter that there's two pointing to the y's, that when x is -1, y is 2, and then also when x is 0, y is 2. That's okay. It's for every x, there can only be one y. So yes, this is a function. Each x only has one line coming out of it. Number 2, if we have a set of ordered pairs, the domain would be the list of the x values. That's 1, 3, and 4. I don't list the 3 twice. The range is the y values. That's -5, -3, 1, and 7. If you heard what I just said, I don't list the 3 twice. What are there 2 of? There's 2 3's in the x values. So in other words, when x is 3, y is -5, and when x is 3, y is -1. So is this a function? Nope, it is not. All right, if you have a table, the domain's easy to do. Just don't double count any of them. I'm not going to list the 0 twice for the range, for example. That's easy enough. For each x, is there only one y? Yep. X only shows up once in this, so it can't point to more than one y. So that is a function. Now, how do you determine the domain here? Well, what are the x values for each of these points? That one's -2, this one's -1, this one's 0, this one's 1, this is 2. So it's -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. I got my colors mixed up, sorry. The range, well, this y value is -1, 2, 0, -2, and 2. Those are the y values. I like to put them in order, so there they go. Is this a function? Well, let's try the vertical line test. This is graph. There's that point, or that line only passes through 1. Those 2 only pass through 1. That one just through 1. Can you make a vertical line pass through more than one point? The answer is no. So this passes the vertical line test. Yes, it is a function. So hopefully with this knowledge, you can do just a few questions out of your textbook, look and compare across to see what those that are assigned. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Goodbye.